What up, Cuts? It's your boy, The Hater. And before we get to night 2 of WrestleMania tonight, let's talk a little bit about yesterday's NXT Stand and Deliver, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Now, I personally thought that this show was pretty good. I mean, all things considered, right? But let's get to it on a match-to-match basis, right? We had 7 matches, a very appropriate number of matches, if you ask me. First up, we had Chase U and Tyler Bate versus Schism, which of course is Joe Gacy, the Dyad, and Ava, which is The Rock's daughter, right? This match was dumb because Ava didn't do anything. I mean, I think everyone was waiting for Ava to do some cool shit. I wanted to see a people's elbow or something. I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting, but this was not it. The match in and of itself was predictable, but entertaining, I guess you could say, right? Duke Hudson teased like that he was going to go with Schism, even though Schism sucks. I mean, I don't like them anymore just because, like, I mean, I thought Joe Gacy's, like, politically correct gimmick was pretty cool when he wanted to be, like, Cruiserweight champ. I thought that was great even though he's fat, right? But this whole, like, Wyatt Family 2.0 thing is not working out, you know, but who gives a damn, right? Thea Hale, I thought was entertaining. You know, she stood out the most out of everyone here. And then the match ended with a pretty cool move by Duke Hudson and, Andre Chase, a little flatliner thing they do. I thought that was really great. And the match was like a solid win for the good guys, which was good to see, right? Next up, we had the women's NXT ladder match. For what it was, this was pretty good, right? Now, there was a lot of botches, a lot of stupid stuff, but if this was a WrestleMania match, this would have been a WrestleMania moment. You see what I'm saying, right? I was pretty sure that Indy Hartwell would win just because of seniority, right? All these other girls that are here are like newer, so I figured Indy would win by the fact that like she's the one that deserves it the most by seniority, by how long she's been in NXT. You know what I mean? So that's exactly what happened, but not before Gigi Dolan got screwed by her ex-partner, right? Who cares about that? That was like an afterthought in the match because everyone cared about Indy Hartwell winning. That was the real story here, and that's what happened. So good for Indy Hartwell, you know? At the end, even though like she didn't really need the help, Dexter Lumis came out and helped her climb the ladder, and then she celebrated with him a little bit. More on that later, but it was pretty cool to see Dexter Lumis come back to help his quote-unquote wife. I thought that was fun. And also, it didn't really like his interference. Like one of the, I think, who was it? Not Booker T. One of the people was saying, that's cheating, right? And then like the point was, who cares if it was cheating? Because she clearly was the only one in the ring capable of getting the title anyways. So this was a good way to like use Dexter Lumis, but not have him change the outcome of the match, right? So it didn't cheapen her win. Then we had the tag match, which I thought was like, had the potential to be great, right? But too many botches, motherfuckers. Too many botches in this match. Primarily, there was a pretty cool spot where Julius Creed had like the Coffee brother, Mark Coffey. I think it was Mark Coffey. It could have been Wolfgang. I think it was Mark Coffey. He had Mark Coffey up on his shoulders, and Mark Coffey had Channing Stacks Lorenzo on his shoulders, and Brutus was going to do like a Brutus ball, but he just like basically missed. And I'm glad he missed because if he had actually done the Brutus ball, which is basically a cannonball, a lot of shit could have happened, specifically to Brutus himself. You know, he would have fallen very awkwardly. But anyways, it is what it is. The spot was still cool otherwise, but there was a lot of little botches. Like Stacks Lorenzo had a few botches. Nothing crazy, but I really like Tony D'Angelo and Stacks Lorenzo just because like of the fact that Tony D'Angelo is willing to put himself in harm's way to save his little buddy. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was pretty cool. The match ends with basically the family, D'Angelo and Lorenzo, about to win, right? But then Joe Coffey appears and costs them the match. He hits the clothesline. That's the spot that I just mentioned where Tony D'Angelo takes the bullet, and they throw him back in the ring. Tony D'Angelo's in the ring. Gallus hits their finishing move, which I think is pretty cool. It's basically like a fireman's carry into a Buzaiku knee into like a flapjack. It looked pretty badass, and they win the match. Nothing wrong with that. I would have hoped to see the Creed brothers win. Daniel Cormier was there too. That was pretty cool. But I like all three of these teams, if I'm being honest. You know what I mean? Gallus is cool. I like Gallus, so I'm okay with them winning. So that's also why I like this match. But I expected it to be like one of the best matches of the weekend, but it just wasn't. Then we had another pretty good match. the Fatal 5-Way for the North American Championship. They may as well just retire the North American title and just bring back the Cruiserweight title because this was a bunch of Cruiserweights, right? But it was also the debut of Dragon Lee, who out of all the indie jobbers that appears in like New Japan and all these other things, is one of the ones that has always stood out to me. So I'm happy that he's in the big leagues finally, right? I did not expect Wes Lee to win this match. I personally thought it was going to be Ilya Dragunov or JD McDonough because I think they're the two more interesting guys in NXT right now. Ilya Dragunov especially, like this guy, he's really exciting to watch because I don't know how to explain it. I guess the best way to put it would be he wrestles like it's real. You know what I'm saying? He wrestles in a way that's realistic. Like one of his finishing moves, I guess, one of the things that he tried to end the match with in this match at least, is the thing where like the person's laying on the ground and this guy just jumps and just does like a downward forearm or punch to the person's face, right? It's just really badass. It just looks like it killed the guy, right? And it's like people would do these things if wrestling was real, right? But because wrestling is not real, R-Truth will go against the ropes, do a little dance before he does a leg drop. But Ilya Dragunov wrestles like he's in a fight, right? He wrestles in a way that's realistic. He has a few silly moves as well, like the little 619 clothesline thing, and then there's his other clothesline that he does where he just like does a taunt beforehand. But of all the wrestlers here, him and JD McDonough are the most grounded, right? Axiom, not so much. Dragon Lee, he's okay, I guess. And Wesley, not grounded at all. He does like goofy shit. But I like all five of these guys. Well, all four of them. I don't like Axiom. You know, saying Axiom sucks. JD McDonough, I really like the way his character's going. It was an exciting match. It was a good match. The one thing that I hated absolutely was the finish. Wesley does the cardiac kick, which is, first of all, it's a stupid finish, number one. But two, even if it's a good finish, he didn't really hit it on Ilya Dragunov. So that didn't make any sense. But, you know, it was a difficult spot to pull off. So I give him some credit. Good match. Then we had Gargano versus Grayson Waller. Now, I didn't really pay attention to this match. I kind of fell asleep, to be honest. I don't like Grayson Waller. I think he's boring as hell. I think this guy has Justin Gabriel written all over him. So I don't really like this guy at all in any capacity. Johnny Gargano, I feel the same way about him. But the match was brutal. From what I did see, the match was pretty damn brutal, right? And basically, the things that stood out, in my opinion, were the back of Grayson Waller, which was like completely destroyed based on like all the kendo sticks that he ate from Candice LeRae as well as Johnny Gargano. And some of the chair shots that he hit Johnny Gargano with were badass. I really like that. His little rolling stunner finisher is pretty cool. I like that as well. But that's about it. Otherwise, this guy sucks. And basically, the only thing that was interesting here, in my opinion, was after the match, Johnny Gargano won with the Gargano escape after he just brutalized the shit out of Grayson Waller and did this pretty cool and unique chair spot where he puts a chair inside, like where he puts Waller's head inside a chair, then he hits the chair on like the corner so the chair spins around like a swivel. And it just looked badass. It didn't hurt him at all, but it looked badass. And he puts a Gargano escape on him, which makes sense because it's a neck move. And this chair thing would have supposedly hurt the neck. After he wins, he goes out and he's joined by Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell. And The Way, as they were called, they didn't have Austin Theory there because he's out doing more important things. But The Way celebrates and has a pretty good moment, you know. It's really weird to think that like Austin Theory was part of this team, especially considering that now he just beat John Cena, you know what I mean? It's fucking weird, but it is what it is, right? Then we had Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, who nothing about them stands out at all, versus Fallon Henley and Kiana James. The whole match here was, I think it's Brooks Jensen. Is Brooks Jensen going to help one of them cheat to win? And his partner and the other girl don't want him to. To be completely fucking honest, I don't know which one is Fallon Henley and which one is Kiana James because I always skip their matches. You know what I'm saying? So one of them is heel and wants to cheat in the match. She tries to help Brooks Jensen. She tries to get Brooks Jensen to help her. It didn't work. I think it's Kiana James. I could be wrong. Long story short, they don't end up cheating to win. And Alba Fire and Isla Dawn win. Who gives a flying fuck? Then we had Carmelo Hayes versus Braun Breaker. Carmelo Hayes finally becomes the champion. At first, I was thinking, like, this is well-deserved. But then I started thinking to myself, is it really well-deserved? Like, what the fuck has he done to deserve it? You know what I'm saying? What has he done to deserve the push? Absolutely nothing, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, is Carmelo Hayes good? Yeah, he's good. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no doubt about it. He's good, right? Is he better than Axiom or Wes Lee? I'm not so sure. You know what I mean? He's presented as being better. He's okay on the mic, right? So like he has some benefits, right? But I'm not exactly convinced that there's anything special about him, right? Like if I compare him to people that have not been NXT champion, like Velveteen Dream, and a few other guys. I mean, everyone gets to become NXT champion. Like, it's not really much of a point of pride, but point is, if I compare him to a lot of people do succeed, right? So it's like, I don't know, but I'm not really convinced that he's going to be a huge star yet, right? As a matter of fact, I thought the presentation of the match was really stupid because Braun Breaker is awesome, you know? Like, just seeing Braun Breaker in these types of matches, you really get reminded as to how good this guy really is. Number one, he just has like a great look, all right? Two, he's got a good pedigree. Three, he's got that Steiner charisma. Like, he's not going to be killing it on the mic, but he has that presence, you know, and he has that like physical charisma. And three, he has great moves. That's one thing that I like about this guy. He has good power moves, and he does cool shit too. Like, I like the Steiners, he does moonsaults. And like, he's young, so he can do like the diving bulldog really well. He does a lot of cool moves. It's really fun to watch Braun Breaker, you know what I mean? This guy really is the future, and I do believe that this guy, like, obviously losing this match is a blessing in disguise for Braun Breaker. I mean, let's be real, right? This guy is in a situation where he's going to get pushed to the moon, and as he should. But that's not here nor there. We'll see where that goes. I'm hoping, now that he lost the title, he just shows up on Monday Night Raw. You know what I mean? But we'll see how that goes. They do need some main eventers, so we'll see how that plays out. But I do believe that he's got a lot of potential, so I hope to see that. One thing I didn't like, though, was basically Carmelo Hayes was getting his ass whooped. He was in the Steiner recliner. He was tapping, but the referee was out, which is fine. You know, that could still be a legitimate win, but he's tapping out. Trick Williams, who is underrated, comes from behind and hits Braun Breaker with the title, right? Now, while this was not the end of the match, right, moments before that, Carmelo Hayes was tapping, right? So that's one thing I don't like. When the referee is down and someone's getting pinned, that's one thing, right? Because the idea is like, all right, you know, someone's getting pinned, but if the referee's not counting, eventually this person's going to come to and he's going to be able to kick out, right? But if you're in the Steiner recliner, you're tapping and there's no referee, what incentive does Braun Breaker have to let Carmelo Hayes go, right? He would just keep him there the whole time. So in this particular case, Trick Williams really changed obviously, and it was presented this way, changed the trajectory of the match. Eventually, Braun Breaker is going for his military press slam thing into the power slam, and then Carmelo Hayes just counters it into the code breaker, and then goes and he hits the nothing but net, and Melo don't miss, motherfucks, and he wins the title in like a relatively clean way after Trick Williams' interference, right? So not clean at all. Then, here's the problem I have with it. Then, as he's celebrating, right, Braun Breaker comes back into the ring with the title. Trick Williams does his thing like, oh, back off, man, like, match is over, like, relax, you know? But Braun Breaker hands the title to Carmelo and gives him like a dab, right? And it's like, what the fuck, hold on a second, bro. Like, he didn't beat you, like, fair and square, you know? He should have earned your respect with the way that he won. He cheated, you know? So there's no reason why Braun Breaker should have had that. I guess the only thing is that since Braun is probably on his way out, maybe it's like they want to give Carmelo the rub so he can be like, you know, he can be like a real face. Because I do believe that Carmelo Hayes is better off as a face than he is as a heel. So I'm hoping that's where this goes. The one thing I will say about Carmelo Hayes is that in the context of NXT, and that's why this match felt like a moment. In the context of NXT, cuckolds, Carmelo Hayes did do it the right way, right? It's really that simple. If you really think about it, right? He had like this, you know, breakout moment when he won that contract bullshit, you know what I'm saying? I forget what it's called, but that contract thing, remember? And then he took that and he got a title shot, and he didn't go for the NXT World title. He went for the, North American title, right? And that was cool, right? He didn't just skip the line, right? He had his moment. He had a very good mid-card reign, obviously. He had some pretty good mid-card feuds. And perhaps more important than all that, he also elevated the title as much as someone can elevate the title, right? He did his job, and then, after he lost the title, you know, he's one of the good ones. So he's not going to get relegated to not going and feuding with someone else again, feuding with Tyler Bate again, right? No. Now, it's time for him to move up to the next step and challenge for the title, right? For the world title, if you will, in the context of NXT. In other words, his mid-card title run was meaningful, right? That's what mid-card title runs are supposed to be. if you're going to have like a good title run, the implication is that you're basically right there. In the presentation of wrestling, the mid-card title is presented generally as belonging to upper mid-carders, right? It is something that is the second best thing, maybe the third best thing. The best thing is to be the champ. The second best thing is to be the number one contender, right? Or the other guy that could be the champ. And then the next best thing is the mid-card title. That's how it used to be. Now it's not like that anymore, right? You know what I mean? Like, Gunther does not feel like he's more important on the card than anybody, really. He feels like he's on the same level as Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. Any one of these guys could win. You know, it makes no difference, right? So, like, that's the problem with the mid-card title, right? When Apollo Crews was U.S. champion, or Intercontinental champion, whatever the fuck he was, it meant nothing, right? He still felt like a lower mid-carder. You know, I mean, maybe he was approaching mid-card status, but he was a lower undercard guy the whole time. And the title didn't change anything. So that's the idea. Carmelo Hayes, the way that he was mid-card champion, prepared him for his eventual push, right? And it's the correct way to do it. Like Gunther, after he loses the title, he should not want the IC title anymore, right? He should be concerned with becoming the world champion, just like Lashley did with the US title, right? Okay, fine. Lashley's not going to be champion forever, right? Now he's not champion, but he's right there. He's one of those guys that's like, all right, Lashley's not the champion, but he could be. You know what I'm saying? Like, he could be. If he wrestles Cody Rhodes, right? Obviously, Lashley should win, in my opinion, but he probably won't. But if he did, it wouldn't be like a crazy surprise, right? And that's the same place where they're putting Carmelo Hayes. Now, he's a guy that won the NXT title, and it's not going to be out of nowhere. Like, all of a sudden, this guy's good. No. He has proved himself to be good, and now he's going to continue being good as champion, right? That's, like, the way that they built up Carmelo Hayes versus the way they built up Cody Rhodes is all you need to know about wrestling, right? The Carmelo Hayes build-up was correct, and the Cody Rhodes build-up was incorrect. And with that being said, kiss my ass. Fuckies!